Ever caught yourself procrastinating and then felt guilty about it? What if I told you that your laziness could actually be the key to unlocking your productivity? In this video, we are going to explore how embracing your inner couch potato might just lead to your biggest breakthrough. Stick around to discover the surprising science behind lazy productivity and learn how to harness it for yourself. The laziness paradox. Picture this: you wake up with grand plans for the day, but somehow you end up scrolling through social media for hours. Sound familiar? We've all been there, caught in the grip of procrastination. Society tells us that laziness is the enemy of success, a character flaw to be overcome at all costs. But what if that's not the whole story? Here's a thought that might surprise you. Your laziness could actually be the key to unlocking your productivity. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but stick with me here. A few years ago, I was struggling with my own productivity. I had a to-do list a mile long, but I couldn't seem to make any progress. I'd start my day with the best intentions, only to find myself distracted by easier, less important tasks. It was frustrating, to say the least. One day, as I was beating myself up over another unproductive afternoon, I stumbled across an idea that changed everything. It is called the 20-second rule, and it comes from Shawn Achor's book, The Happiness Advantage. Now you might be wondering, what does the 20-second rule have to do with laziness? Well, that's where things get interesting. You see, Achor discovered that by making positive habits 20 seconds easier to start and negative habits 20 seconds harder, we can dramatically change our behavior. Think about it. You probably don't have a problem playing video games or browsing social media on your phone. In fact, I have no doubt you could sit in front of a screen and do both of these activities for hours without breaking your concentration. But what about half an hour of studying? Oof, that might be too hard. How about working on your side business for another hour? Hmm, doesn't sound too appealing. The reason for this lies in something called decision fatigue. As we make decisions throughout the day, our willpower diminishes. It becomes harder to choose the more productive option even when we know it's what we should do. This is where Ecker's approach comes in. Instead of fighting against our natural inclination towards laziness, he suggests we use it to our advantage by making the things we want to do slightly easier and the things we want to avoid slightly harder. We can harness our lazy tendencies to boost our productivity. It is a simple idea, but the implications are profound. Instead of relying on motivation or willpower, which are finite resources, we can set up our environment to work with our natural tendencies. But how exactly does this work in practice? And what is the science behind it? That's what we are going to explore next. Get ready to discover how a little strategic laziness might just lead to your biggest breakthrough yet. The science of habit formation. You probably don't realize it, but habits rule your life. Think about your typical day. How many times do you check your phone without even thinking about it? Or automatically reach for a snack when you sit down to watch TV? Here's a mind-blowing fact. Up to 40% of your daily actions are not conscious decisions at all. They are habits, running on autopilot in the background of your mind. But what exactly is a habit? At its core, every habit follows a simple three-part loop: cue, routine, and reward. The cue is the trigger that sets off the behavior. Maybe it's a certain location, a time of day, or even an emotion. Then comes the routine, the actual behavior you perform. Finally, there's the reward, the positive feeling or outcome that reinforces the habit. Now here's where things get tricky. Changing habits is tough, and there's a good reason for that. Our brains are wired to conserve energy, which means they resist change. It is like trying to push a boulder uphill. It takes a lot of effort to get started. This initial resistance is what scientists call activation energy. It is the hurdle you have to overcome to start a new behavior or break an old one. But wait, there's more. Even if you muster up the willpower to push past that initial resistance, you are fighting an uphill battle. You see, willpower is not an infinite resource. It is more like a muscle that gets tired with use. As you go through your day making decisions and resisting temptations, your willpower depletes. By the time evening rolls around, you are more likely to skip that workout or reach for that pint of ice cream. So what's the solution? How can we overcome these built-in obstacles and actually change our habits? This is where things get interesting. Remember Schoenecker and his 20-second rule? Well, it turns out this simple trick is a powerful way to hack the habit formation process. The 20-second rule is all about manipulating that activation energy we talked about earlier. By making good habits 20 seconds easier to start and bad habits 20 seconds harder, you can bypass the need for willpower altogether. It is like creating a smooth downhill slope for the behaviors you want and putting speed bumps in front of the ones you don't. So how can you put this into practice? Let's say you want to read more. Instead of keeping your book on a shelf, place it on your nightstand with a bookmark ready to go. Want to cut down on social media? Log out of the apps on your phone so you have to enter your password each time. These small changes might seem insignificant, but they can have a huge impact over time. The beauty of the 20-second rule is that it works with your brain's natural tendencies rather than against them. You are not relying on motivation or willpower. You are simply making the right choice the easy choice. And once you start seeing results, those small wins can snowball into major lifestyle changes. But how does this play out in real life? Let's explore some practical applications of the 20-second rule and see how it can transform your daily routine. Lazy productivity in action. Imagine a CEO who spends most of his day lounging by the pool. Sounds like the epitome of laziness, right? Well, that's exactly what Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin Group, does. But here's the twist. He claims this relaxed environment is where he gets his best work done. Branson's approach is a perfect example of strategic laziness in action. Now you might be thinking, that is great for a billionaire, but how does this apply to me? Well, the idea of strategic laziness isn't about slacking off. It's about finding ways to maximize your productivity while minimizing effort. It is about working smarter, not harder. Let's challenge your current approach to tasks. Think about your daily routine. Are there any tasks you dread? Maybe it's exercising, or perhaps it's tackling that big project at work. Now, instead of forcing yourself to power through these tasks, what if you could make them easier to start? This is where the 20-second rules comes into play. The key is to identify high-impact, low-effort changes you can make to your environment. These changes should make good habits easier to start and bad habits harder to fall into. Now, let's apply this to a common scenario. Procrastination at work. Instead of trying to tackle a big project all at once, break it down into smaller, more manageable tasks. Then make the first task so easy that it feels almost silly not to do it. Maybe it's just opening the document or writing a single sentence. Once you start, you will likely find it easier to keep going. These small changes might seem insignificant at first, but they can lead to big results over time. It is about creating a domino effect. Once you start seeing success in one area, it can motivate you to apply the same principles to other aspects of your life. So, what's the key to making good habits stick without relying on motivation? Focus on the first step, make it so easy that you can't say no. Don't think about running a marathon. Think about putting on your running shoes. Don't worry about writing a novel. Just open your document and write one sentence. By embracing strategic laziness and applying the 20-second rule, you can transform your daily routine and boost your productivity. But it's not always smooth sailing. In the next section, we'll explore some challenges you might face and how to overcome them. Overcoming obstacles and fine-tuning your approach. You've been applying the 20-second rule for a week now, but something's not quite clicking. Maybe you've placed your running shoes by the door, yet you still can't bring yourself to go for that morning jog. Or perhaps you've hidden your phone in a drawer, but you're still finding ways to procrastinate. Don't worry, you're not alone. Even the best productivity strategies can hit roadblocks. Implementing the 20-second rule isn't always smooth sailing. Our brains are complex, and changing habits isn't as simple as flipping a switch. You might face resistance from your old habits, or find that what works for one area of your life doesn't translate to another. These challenges are normal and even expected. One common pitfall is underestimating the power of our ingrained behaviors. You might make your bad habit 20 seconds harder, only to find your brain coming up with creative workarounds. Another issue is overcomplicating the process. Sometimes, in our enthusiasm to change, we try to tackle too many habits at once, leading to overwhelm and burnout. So, what can you do when the 20-second rule isn't working as expected? First, take a step back and analyze your approach. Are you truly making the desired behavior 20 seconds easier, or are you just shifting the obstacle? For instance, if you want to read more but find yourself still reaching for your phone instead of the book on your nightstand, try charging your phone in another room overnight. Next, consider your personality and lifestyle. The 20-second rule isn't one size fits all. If you are a night owl, trying to force yourself into an early morning routine might not be the best approach. Adjust the rule to fit your natural rhythms. Maybe for you, it is about making your evening routine 20 seconds easier to start. Remember, mastering this technique takes time and patience. It is not about perfection, but progress. Keep experimenting and fine-tuning your approach. If one strategy doesn't work, try another. The key is to maintain momentum, even when faced with setbacks. To keep your motivation high, celebrate small wins. Did you manage to read for 5 minutes instead of scrolling through social media? That is a progress. By acknowledging these small victories, you are reinforcing the positive behavior and making it more likely to stick. As we wrap up, let's consider the transformative potential for this approach. By making small strategic changes to your environment, you are not just improving your productivity, you are reshaping your entire relationship with work and rest. You are learning to work smarter, not harder, and that's a skill that will serve you well in all areas of life. We have explored how embracing our inner lazy can actually boost productivity. The 20-second rule isn't about drastic changes, it is about making small tweaks to our environment that add up over time. By reducing friction for good habits and adding obstacles to bad ones, we can work with our brain's natural tendencies instead of fighting against them. Now it's your turn to put this into practice. Pick one small change you can make today. Maybe it's putting your phone in another room while you work, or setting out your gym clothes the night before. Whatever it is, make it easy enough that you can't say no. Remember, productivity isn't about perfection, it's about progress. As you experiment with these strategies, pay attention to what works for you. Every person is different, so don't be afraid to adjust and fine tune your approach. Share your experiences with others and keep exploring new ways to work smarter, not harder. Who knows? Your laziest tendency might just lead to your biggest breakthroughs. If this video gave you a new perspective, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I post content every week to inspire and empower you on your journey to success. And if you're ready for more, check out my next video where we dive into different topics. Together, we'll keep pushing toward growth. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.